So my name is Rick Rodriguez. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for Lubbock ISD.
I'm Misty Rieber. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Lubbock ISD. The state's attention to CCMR has definitely changed the way that we focus our attention. I think that we cared deeply about it before, but not as a metric that we were tracking and paying enough attention to. The increase in accountability in the state of Texas around CCMR, the percentage rate increased. It required us to adjust the way that we were evaluating our programs and looking at what we were doing for kids. After the initial sticker shock of making the change, it has been a good thing. I don't think there's a person that would argue that you don't want a kid to be ready for post-secondary after they leave your high school, but this has allowed us to think about it more strategically and be more intentional. And I think the tracking is probably one of the most important components of that. The outcome bonus that you receive in the end, the funding, is a gift that's lagging data that you get back later. But the real piece that's important is that we're looking at the data and making sure kids are ready to move forward.
I think also the attention that's given to, that's a perfect example for the state saying, this is what's important. And so here's the pathway. And then if you do that, then we're going to then reward the district with resources. And so, but it's our job then to find the pathway that best fits our needs to help meet that score. So again, the agency telling us, here's what's important. And to Misty's point, we weren't necessarily tracking, not that it wasn't important, but we weren't necessarily tracking the importance of that. So I think having that focus has allowed us to create more space where kids can be more successful and be more college ready or post-secondary ready.
So when we think in Lubbock ISD about career pathways, we're blessed that we offer almost every career pathway available in the state of Texas to our students. We have a central location at the Advanced Technology Center where all of our high school students have the opportunity to come and visit. But one of the deep dives in our CCMR study that has helped us look is that kids vote with their feet. And so if kids are voting and we're matching up that voting with what our community says is a need, we need to be able to make strategic shifts that take place in big 4 and 5 year jumps when you think about kids graduating, but we need to be able to make shifts in pathways that fit the needs of our community and fit the interest of our kids. And so instead of hanging on to pathways that I like to call dinosaur units, like teachers refer to, that are things that we no longer need, but we're hanging on to them just because we've always done it, we have to be strategic in our planning and think through the evaluation moving forward and backward of what we're doing to meet the needs of both kids and the needs of the community.
Yeah, I think our superintendent has done a wonderful job of keeping a pulse on what is important to the community as it relates to our Advanced Technology Center and the certificates. We offer, as Misty said, just about every type of certification that's coming out, but it's not necessarily because that's what we want to do, but that's what our community is saying. You know, we recently added a brand new facility that's going to have a meat science lab. And from the finance side of the house, that was a very expensive piece of building that we put up. But it was because our community was saying we need more meat cutters. The meat cutter world is long in the tooth, and we don't have any way of preparing those. And so creating a pathway for kids to come out of high school ready to start cutting meat, certified to start cutting meat at a grocery store, providing them a potential way to help pay for college or to help sustain their own home. I think it's very telling to know that we have such a good pulse on our community that we're able to provide those types of programs to help meet the needs of the community and help kids be successful post-secondary.
I think you have to be really strategic too, and people may not realize how far we have to go to do that. So, for example, the Lubbock community, our Plumbers Association came to us and said, They are all about to retire. We're about to have a crisis in our city. And if you need a plumber, you need a plumber. So we created a pathway for students to get their apprenticeship in plumbing, but it was not attractive to our high school students. That doesn't sound exciting. They wanted to go into carpentry or welding or something else. So we realized we had to actually attract middle school students into that process. But to attract middle school students, we needed to also get their parents involved. So we have an after-school program at one of our middle schools where one of our local plumbing organizations comes and teaches our students and parents together some basic skills in plumbing to get them interested so that then they'll go into the pathway when they get into high school. So we're seeing our numbers increasing and we're filling a need. But before we gave up on the pathway, knowing that kids weren't voting for it, we knew that we needed to meet the need of the community. So we're trying to find a new strategic way to meet that need.